on this one, so I can put this one up on the website. So we're going to take a look at intelligent agents, and this is really titled Automating Communications in D2L. And so all of us want to do a better job of communicating to our students. We want to do a better job of even finding out where our students are at and being communicated from the system as well. And so as we go through this presentation, you'll be able to see how intelligent agents are going to be able to help you do that. So we're going to take a look at intelligence agents, what you're going to learn from this one. So we're going to look at what are intelligent agents really? What can intelligent agents do for you in your course and do for your students in your course? What are some of the benefits of using intelligent agents? You know, why do we really want to use them? We'll go through some examples of intelligent agents. I'll actually walk you through step by step on building a first one that you can do within the system, and then I'll show you some examples. I actually have a Word document that has a whole bunch of templates on setting up different variety of intelligent agents within your course. And I'll have that link to the website as well, so you'll be able to have that. And we go through some best practices for using intelligent agents, because there's some things that you want to make sure you think about as you're building them. And then some additional resources. So I actually built out a page last week on intelligent agents, and I'll show you that briefly at the very end. And a lot of this stuff will be linked in there as well, so you can go hop over to that website later as well. So what are intelligent agents? Well, intelligent agents basically assist instructors and increase instructor presence. You know, whenever we had our college workshops, we talked about the different presences, and one of them was instructor presence, and really being able to be present there for your students. And one of the big parts of intelligent agents is it's going to assist the instructors and really help increase their presence and kind of helping bridge that communication between the student, you know, and the student engagement, and then help to personalize some of the feedback, personalize some of the communication that goes out to your students as well, but making it automated. So some of these automated features that you can put in there as well. So what can intelligent agents do? So there's really kind of twofold. So first part is monitoring. What it can do is it can help monitor course access. So accessing the course, and the example I'm going to show you in the system is actually monitoring the student's course access and whether or not they are accessing your course or not. And if they're not, then it'll automatically kick them an email and say, hey, you haven't logged in, you know, the last 6 or 7 days. If you want to check in and see how things are going that way. Then it also can monitor content access. You know, there's certain pieces of content that the students haven't accessed or have accessed. It can trigger things to happen there. Discussion participation, assessment and grades, whether they're getting a good grade, whether they're not getting such a good grade. It can monitor that. And then it also monitors completions of different items. And we'll go through some of those items and some examples. And I'll even talk about a few examples that I've seen and a few other webinars from other schools and faculty members that have used these for helping monitor their students and even monitor completions, like monitoring the completion of maybe module 1 and letting you know and the students know, you know, either whether they did it or not. Then the second part is really notifying the student and or instructor. So it's going to notify you or the student if something happens. So that's where, you know, you'll want to think through, and as we go through the best practices, when you want these notifications to go out and how you want them to go out is key for that part of it. So some of the benefits of using intelligent agents, the first one is really being able to set expectations. You know, right from day one, as an instructor, we set our expectations with our students. One of the examples that you can set, and I've seen people do this, is you can set one up where the first time the student literally accesses your course, you could have an email that triggers to get sent out to them, to welcome them to the class, let them know you're excited about having them in the class, but then also start to put some of those expectations down to your students as well. Being able to personalize the contact, personalized contact. So any of these emails that go to the students can all be personalized. So it can have their first name right in there, so they think it's directly from them, and you can set it up so it comes directly from your email. So the students don't really know it's an automated one that comes out, but it does have their name there and it has your name there, so they'll definitely know. You know, one of the big pieces too, you know, with teaching is being able to encourage the students. You want to be able to encourage them, and especially if you have several classes you're teaching, and depending on how many students you have, it's hard to always be able to get to where you can encourage all the students at different spots. So if you set these up correctly, you'll be able to encourage them along the way through their learning experience through your course. So if they're finishing certain modules or certain assignments, you can automatically have it trigger to send them an encouraging email. You know, if they miss a deadline, you can also send them an encouraging email telling them, you know, just try to make sure you're finishing everything and finishing it on time. You know, being able to give them feedback. You know, we really want to be able to give them personalized feedback with some information. So maybe if you knew there's a big project coming up in module 6 or something, you could have an automated email that comes out in module 5 that says an upcoming assignment is coming out and here's the information for it. So they would be getting that ahead of time as well. Then recognition, you know, there is one, and I've seen this from some instructors. There's a system in D2L called awards or badges, and you can award awards or badges to these students. And so sometimes you may want to recognize them doing a good job. So if they got a really high score on their midterm, you know, or a big project or something, that could be set up as well to do recognition, and you can set it up so it could automatically give them an award in D2L, you know, one of the award badges. So those are just some benefits of using the intelligent agents. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and quit sharing the PowerPoint, and I'm going to go to sharing my screen. So let me go ahead and bump back over to the screen. All right, so let me go ahead and move this stuff out of the way. All right, can you see my sandbox course?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so when we're doing intelligent agents, they're always going to be under course tools. So you should have this tab up at the top. If you click on course tools, a huge amount of tools are in this area, one of which is intelligent agents. So we just scroll through, we find where it says intelligent agents here, and this is where we go ahead and click intelligent agents. And if you have any existing intelligent agents that are in here, they'll actually show up on this list. So first, what I'm going to do is I want to go through the settings. So I show you how to do the settings first, so I don't forget that part of it, and then we'll actually create an intelligent agent to go along with it. So we'll go over to make sure we're under intelligent agent list, and we go to settings. On settings, what you're going to want to do, and you'll notice I haven't changed it yet in here. This is the system default for any emails that come from or reply to. So if you send this from as a default, this is where it comes from. So the students would just see no reply at St. Leo, and that's where it would come from. What I always recommend people to do is go back over here to the set custom values and then go ahead and actually put your email address in here. So put your name in here, you know, so I put my name, if I could spell my name, and then I would go ahead and put in my email address. So once I do that, then I'll save it. One of the things that you want to look at too is runtime. So all the agents run at a certain time of day, so it isn't just triggering multiple times in one day. These agents are usually run at approximately 8 p.m., 4 p.m. time. So right around 4 p.m. is when they're run. So whenever I hit save, I know that any agents that run are going to come from me with my name on it, my email address, and they're going to be run around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's the basic settings of an intelligent agent. Now let's go ahead and jump over to new. And here's where we're going to start to create our new intelligent agent. So one of the keys, and when I go through best practices, I'll talk about this too, but you want to make sure you give it a name that really makes sense. So let's say my first one, I'm going to say, you know, if a student hasn't logged in within 7 days, I want it to trigger. So it could be a, you know, 7-day reminder email to students. And then what you want to do is go into your description and you want to put a little bit more detail. So, you know, this is, we'll go to students that haven't logged in to the course in the last 7 days. So that way you have a good description, a good name by it, and you'll always know that's what it really is referred to. Because if you just put something really generic and you go back in 6 months later, you might not always remember what it is. And especially if you start creating more of these, you want to just make sure you have a good name and description of it. So this part right here is key, because if you want it to run, you got to make sure it's enabled. Last semester, I realized after a couple weeks that I had forgotten. I thought I had checked it and I forgot to, and it wasn't running at all. And so you just want to make sure if you want this running in your course, you have it turned on. So the first part of it is the criteria. So what you usually want to do is go in and say all users visible in the class list. So if I were to look at my class list, it's usually all my students plus me. And so that's when I usually just leave this as default that's here. The next two pieces are keys to distinguish what login activity is and what course activity is. Login activity is login activity to the Brightspace system, not necessarily to your course. So most of the time, whenever you end up doing these, I don't see much of a purpose of having checked as much as I want to know when the students are coming or going into my course, not into somebody else's course or even just onto Brightspace generally. So I'm going to check this one here. And then here's where I'm going to say in the last 7 days, so I'm going to put user has not accessed the course in the last 7 days, and I go ahead and put 7 here. I'll give you some information about this. We're not going to talk about release conditions, but there are a ton of release conditions that you can have happen a little bit more. Actually, we're going to be time crunched. So I'll give you some information on those because those you can really hone in on exactly what you want to happen as far as your intelligent agent goes. So here's where you want to look at the actions. So repetitions. Take action only the first time the agent's criteria are satisfied, or do you want to take action every time the agent is evaluated? So if you only want this to run once for the semester, then you may have this checked once. But if you want this to run more than once, then you can always check this box. Take action every time the agent is evaluated and the agent's criteria are satisfied. So there could be 2 or 3 times during the semester where the students go 8 or 9 days without logging. But a lot of times you want to just have it run once. And if you notice again that the student still isn't, then you're probably going to have to do more than just an automated intelligent agent. You're going to have to notify the student and their advisor and the success coach probably. So here's where we're going to scroll down. I skip this part. We're going to go send an email when the criteria is satisfied. So you can see where I changed my settings. I went ahead and changed it to my name, my email address, so I know that's who it's going from. I'm going to go ahead and put the subject heading. So, you know, not logged in. No, this doesn't make sense. In 7 days, you know, the last 7 days, whatever we want to put for our subject heading. And then you go ahead and type in your email. So here's where you can actually put in what's called replacement strings. So I think this is where I can click on this one. Here. So remember when I said we can personalize the emails? These are the items in here that you can actually personalize within there. And this is the one that I usually recommend using for an email, as you do these curly brackets and say initiating user first name. So once I put in this, then, you know, hello, and I put in their first name, then it's going to say hello, Greg, and then it's going to have the email address or the, you know, personalization that's in there. So I go ahead and type in my email. If there's any other information that I want to put, I can do that as well. If you want to use the schedule and schedule it for a certain time, you can. Otherwise, if you leave this, I believe it just runs it when it happens. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Which part did I? All right, so I got to put in nine to the 2. So now we should be good to go. So once it pulls up, I'll actually be able to run a test. So here's where you can actually pull this up, and before you even turn it on, you could have it run just to run it through to make sure everything runs. So I'm going to do a practice run. I go ahead and hit run, and then it should give me the notification and send me the email. So you can actually practice just to make sure that it's running correctly. Because if you set something up incorrect, then it'll let you know. So that's a basic one to go through that part of it. Let me go ahead and hit, any questions on that?
No, that seems pretty straightforward. Well, the only question I had, real quick, was, do I have to set this up for every class that I have? So if I'm teaching, in each term, do I have to set up the intelligent agent each term, or how does that work?
No, once you have it, you can actually do a course copy over, and you can copy it over. So let me, I gotta remember exactly where it was at. Let me see if I can, hold on.
Are they going to let me do that as an adjunct? Because usually they just copy over the master. And actually,
They do, but you should be able to.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, because
No, we would be able to.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. That's all right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I have to put in the answers to the exam each time too. I have to copy and paste them every time.
Well, that's where, if you have them in another course, if you don't feel comfortable with it, I would put in a request to learning design, or you can get one of our team members to do it.
Okay.
But learning design could help you as well, as far as moving something over.
Okay.
So that's where, when you're ready to do it, let me know and I can help you do it.
Okay, sure. That sounds great.
Either that, or I'll refer you to learning design to make sure. So, but if it means you only have to build them once. So once you build them once in one class, you should be able to use them for any of the other ones as well. That's one of the great parts about building any of the stuff in D2L, is almost all of it is course copy capable, where you can just pop it over from one to the next. So let me do the last part of it. Any other questions?
No, that was the main one I had, because I just want to make sure that,
okay,
if I put all the time and effort down, I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel each time.
Yeah, last semester I've transferred mine over several semesters. The same one. I don't have a bunch of them, although now that I've spent time learning this even better, for my next class that I teach in the spring, I'm going to have multiple agents, and once I do them once, I'm going to be continuing to copy over from semester to semester. So, all right, let me go ahead and get back to where we were here. So some of the other examples, these are some other examples that we could look at. And the template that I'm going to have on the website actually has how to set these all up. So if the person hasn't accessed the course in 2 weeks, if they have incomplete tasks on a checklist, whether they've completed all the tasks on a checklist, earned 80% or higher on a quiz, they could have possibly failed a test. They might even get a 0. Once things are due and you end up having a 0, it can notify them of that. Late assignments, no posts that are authored in a discussion topic, received a grade feedback on an assignment. Once this learner has reached a topic page in a long course, indicated halfway through or almost finished. So you can have all of these kind of automated pieces, regardless of where it's at there in the content, where they're at with the assignments, some that's constructive feedback, some that's encouraging feedback. So it just depends on how you want to use it. There's a lot of different options as far as examples go for the intelligent agents. And then here are just a few of the best practices, making sure you update the intelligent agent setting. That's what IA is in here. Be very descriptive in the agent name and description, which we talked about earlier. Determine when and who should receive the email, whether it's just a student, it's both you and the student, or just you sometimes. Make sure you use them sparingly. Obviously we don't want to inundate the students with a ton of emails. So think about, is there a better way to communicate this? But sometimes there's not. And so maybe the intelligent agent works perfect. Determine whether you want it to be manual or automated. And then always test it out, run that practice test to make sure it's good to go from there. And then the last part is, here's just a few references. So I referred to our website. So if you go on to our website and go to the D2L resources, one of the items in there is called Intelligent Agents. And so if you click on there, you'll actually go to our website. There's also the templates that I'll have linked there, and then a quick reference guide to Intelligent Agents. I have a video that's posted on the website just on creating your first one. So you can watch that video as well. And then some links to a few others, like the replacement strings and things like that you can take a look at. So try to put them all in one area, so it made it helpful. But anyway, that's about it for intelligent agents. Any questions?
No, not at all. Thanks a lot, Greg. I really appreciate it. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, I'll go ahead and post a link in the chat so you can go ahead and pull that up directly. But I'll go ahead and post the recording. I'll post the slides and then make sure that the templates are in there as well. I can't remember if I had those in there, but I'll make sure all of that is in and good to go. And absolutely, I'll be interested to see how you decide to use it, in your course. So
yeah,
I think it's a powerful way to. Okay, appreciate it.
Greg,
I think that'll definitely add to my classes for sure.
All right, great.
Can you hear me,
Thanks a lot, Greg. You have a great weekend.
All right, thanks. You too. Have a good weekend.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Hey, Greg, can you hear me?
Hey, Candace.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I created one. This was really well done, by the way, very smooth. I created one while we were